Okay, that was my last one. What's your last one?
Wander around the mall. So this was the closest thing to social media at the time. You would go there, and that's where you would bump into random people, acquaintances, meet new people, and yeah, we would never spend any money. We were the mall rats. We would go and, you know, maybe like $1 we'd buy like instant sticks or like get a soda or something like that. But generally it was just to kill 3 hours and meet people, get out of the house.
Yeah, that's true. Were you able to walk to your local mall?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long walk. It was like 20 minutes or something.
All right, so those are some things that we used to do before we had the internet, before we had Facebook. I think maybe you feel the same way now too. Like, I want to go not do Facebook things right now. I want to go do something, make something. I want to go make something. You?
Yeah, but listening to your stories, I feel like it's a little bit safer post-Facebook world. You know, you just sit in your basement, you don't do anything, but at least you're not like starting fires and breaking things. So.
But are we gaining weight? We have to find the right balance between sitting on Facebook and starting fires, maybe. What's the in-between there? This show? Okay. Yeah. Something. Okay, so I think that we'll end the video there. That seems like a good place to stop. Thanks very much for watching. Please share what you did before the internet, before you had Facebook and social media. Maybe you had a few stories similar to ours. Thanks very much for watching. As Michael said, please subscribe so that you don't miss anything else that we have to talk about or anything embarrassing we have to share. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye. Hi everybody, welcome back to English Topics. My name is Alicia, and I'm here with
Michael. Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about things that were cool in the aughts. The aughts refers to from the year 2000 to the year 2010. So let's discuss the things that we thought were cool in this period of time. My first item is boy bands. Boy bands. As a junior high school student during the early 2000s to mid 2000s years, I was very loyal to one boy band in particular. If you recall, during this period of time in America, there were a few boy bands. There was NSYNC, there was the Backstreet Boys. My personal favorite was Hanson. I really had like my walls just covered in Hanson posters. That was a big thing for me. Did boy bands factor into your adolescence at all?
Yes and no. Again, I have 3 older brothers to punch me and say, hey, don't listen to boy bands. Boy bands are for losers. So I never got into it, but I definitely knew that was a thing. You would see the binders in school, and they'd, you know, like they're really shiny, laminated, and it'd be 98 degrees, this and that. So speaking of music, I think this one's pretty good. Is Napster, and this was right before 2000. It started, I think, 99, and got in a lot of trouble. The owner got in a lot of trouble. It's when that peer-to-peer sharing, they call it, right? So people, peers, and you share it. So I send you a file directly. That was the first time that came out. So I remember a lot of people didn't think about the moral implications. Is this illegal? Is this bad? Is this, you know, the internet was first, you know, starting to bubble up and become really popular. So I remember my relatives and friends, everyone did it until all of a sudden they said, whoa, you're stealing music, don't do it. There was a couple people who got arrested, fined millions of dollars and stuff, so they started to die out, and the new ones came. So for me, I think it was like after Napster's Kazaa and LimeWire, and there's all these different programs and a million. Basically, it was before torrents and all that.
Yeah, that's a great point though. Those sorts of peer-to-peer applications really did change media. That's huge. Good one. I like that topic. Wow. Okay, nice one. I guess I'll go on to the next one. For me, this is also media related. This is something I think probably most teens in our generation used at some point in time. It is instant messenger. I was partial, meaning I liked to use AOL instant messenger, AIM. I also had MSN instant messenger. Did you use an instant messaging service? Yeah. AIM, yeah. So this was before, maybe I think cell phones were becoming more and more common, but at least in my case, I didn't get a cell phone, a mobile phone for my own personal use until high school-ish, maybe? I I don't remember till maybe 17 or so. I didn't need one, really. But to talk to, who did I talk to? To talk to my friends, I suppose? I don't know. I used Instant Messenger to talk to people in other parts of the world. Like I would have a pen pal in a different country, or I remember I exchanged music a lot with a guy who lived in a different part of the United States. I don't remember where he was from. That's true. This is a true story. He sent me news. I remember that guy. I liked it.
Secretly a 40-year-old guy in his basement.
Electronic and hip-hop acceptance. So for me, I remember for the longest time, we made fun of this stuff. We would say, there was a stupid phrase that everyone said. You'd say, rap is only one letter away from crap. That's how you know it's bad. Or like the electronic music, anybody can make that music because it's just a computer. There's no skill. Man, I hate. We would all say that kind of stuff, or a lot of kids did. And right around then, that's when people slowly, one by one, started to convert, and it became more and more mainstream, where a lot of the famous artists, it just became, everyone loved it. I think by the end of the 2000s, it was anybody and everybody. Any demographic loved electronic and hip-hop. It became a very popular thing.
Yeah, maybe so. Hip-hop got really gained momentum there in like early 2000s, mid-2000s, didn't it? Because up until then, it was kind of like sweet pop almost, or just like a rock music was really popular. But yeah, electronic and grunge too. Grunge was a thing, like Nirvana. Nirvana was big in the 90s, but then they late 80s.
Yeah, it was 90s. I remember
So then that, yeah, so like rock was really popular. I feel like rock was very, very mainstream. Country as well, country western music. But I think, yeah, you're right. Hip hop really gained a lot of momentum there, late 90s, early 2000s. Electronic too. Okay, my next item is Harry Potter. It is Harry Potter. Harry Potter finished in the late 2000s. Harry Potter was a huge series, and I think it was really, really important. Not even so much because of the story. Of course, the story is widely known around the world by this point in time. But I think it was really important because I think it got people reading. Young people, adolescents, older people. It was one of those stories that could be enjoyed by anybody, any age group. I was super into Harry Potter. I loved reading fantasy books at any rate. But Harry Potter, I think, it was really popular. It was really fun. It was one of those things that kids could enjoy and parents didn't have to worry about. I don't think it wasn't like the kids were reading something scandalous or whatever. It's just like this sort of heartwarming fantasy story about a couple kids growing up together in this strange situation. Did you ever read Harry Potter?
Yeah, I read a little bit of it. I remember mainly watching the movies, but I remember two things about that. I think it's funny you said it's heartwarming. I think most people agree with that, but I remember there was a small group of people who protested and said it celebrated witchcraft and it's not religious and a good Christian shouldn't read Harry Potter. And then the second thing is I remember that it was like number one. I don't know exactly, don't quote me on this, but I remember it was really high for adults on like Amazon.com and children. It was like a bestseller for both adults and children, and that was kind of a first, I think it was pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, of course, the movies came out, and that was a different sort of popularity that happened because of the movies. But I think having a series of books that could captivate, like that got in such a huge audience interested, it's possible maybe there's another series or another book that's, that had a similar influence. But again, going back to your point about the internet, I think because of the internet, because of that exchange of information, Harry Potter had just the perfect timing and the perfect story for it to just spread like wildfire. It spread so quickly and with such like ferocity that it was like a super story, right? So I think Harry Potter was a really, really big part of that history. Like a little bit from the end of the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. MySpace, that's for sure. This seems like a relic, something so old now because websites come and go. But yeah, MySpace, yeah, MySpace was, for those of you who don't know, you probably do, it was Facebook before Facebook. And before MySpace was something a little before my time, but I guess called like Friendster.
Yeah.
And there's all these different websites, there's just different social media. But one thing I noticed that was different about MySpace versus Facebook is there's unsaid internet social etiquette with Facebook. You didn't add strangers on Facebook. Some people do, it depends on the country, blah, 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 but typically it was only your close friends, right? Whereas MySpace, I remember meeting just strangers. You just go on and you see a girl that's cute and you add her and you say, hey, what's up? I like your pictures. Do you want to meet? And it was kind of like a chat room thing. It was like, it was a weird in between until it became where more of a personal thing, like my Facebook wall or whatever.
Right. Well, Facebook initially started out of it was from college actually. When you went to college, a lot of colleges would have a physical book called Facebook, to my understanding, and it was like a yearbook, but like before you started the year, so you could see who your classmates were. I think that was what the deal was. And initially, when Facebook started, you had to have a university email address in order to join Facebook. So at first, it was only college students who could participate in Facebook. And then it became open to the public. And now, of course, Facebook is popular all over the world. Okay, so those are a few things that we thought were cool in the aughts from the year 2000 to 2010. What was cool for you in your country? I'm really actually kind of curious to hear. I mean, these are things that were big in America. But I have no idea what was, well, not no idea, but I have very little concept of what was interesting in other countries at this time in history. So please share if you have something that you thought was really, really outstanding from this time. That's all for us today. Thanks very much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you again next time. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to English Topics. My name is Alicia and I'm here today again with
Michael. Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about questions that we have been asked. So let's begin. What is the first question that you would like to discuss today?
I would like to discuss what's the main difference between British and American English? So, for me, I'd like to get this out of the way. Canadians and Americans sound pretty much the same. It's hard for us to tell the difference, even native English speakers. There's a couple of telltale signs, say some things, but it's usually regional. So I guess North American and then like UK English. And again, there's a lot of different accents and dialects, and it all depends. But for me, the easiest way is Americans enunciate every word. We're very loud and we open our mouths a lot. Hello, how are you? Where are you from? Teacher, water. We enunciate every sound. So for me, a dead giveaway is that R, that end R.
Right, it's tough. I listen for vowel sounds and try to guess based on that. So your question is about British English and American English. There's also Australian English, there's Scottish English, there's Irish English, there's so many different English-speaking dialects, and honestly, sometimes it's hard for us to understand. We're both from relatively the same part of America, so we have the same speaking style, our accents are the same. But to go through all of the different dialects, and to try and approximate, to try and say them badly, would probably just be a waste. But you're on the internet, look it up. Okay. I guess we'll go to the next one. Let's see. My questions. Let's see. I'm going to start with a grammar question that I get a lot. A grammar question that I come across. Students ask me this question. The present tense versus the progressive tense. What is the difference? When should I use present tense versus progressive tense? So by this I mean a verb. The present tense is used for facts, things which are always true, things which are part of your regular schedule. The progressive tense has a few different meanings to it, a few different uses to it, but one of the meanings, or one of the uses, is to express something which is temporary, which is not part of your regular schedule, or another use is to describe a trend. To use a very common mistake, as an example, if I ask the question, where do you work? A lot of times the response I get from my students is, I am working in America.
depending on the situation, that sentence could be correct. But if you're talking about the place where you work always, every day you go to that job, it could be the location of your office, it could be the country or the city where you work. If it's a part of your regular schedule, you want to explain a fact that is true about your life, you should use the present tense, not the progressive tense. So the correct version of that sentence should be, I work in America. That's part of my regular schedule. If, however, you're only in America for the week, for example, you can use the progressive tense, but it's more natural to say, for example, this week I'm working in America. It's much, much more natural.
How do I pronounce the TH sound? So, depending on who I'm teaching English to, they'll have problems with different pronunciation sounds. But for me, I think one that's common with a lot of different cultures is the TH sound. And I think, again, this goes back to like the different ways of speaking, how Americans, we enunciate every word and we push the way we speak to the very tip of our mouth. That's the TH sound. So most people are capable of making the TH sound, but they're just a little shy, and it just doesn't seem natural. It's almost as if you can bite the tip of your tongue off when you say the sound, right? And then just another thing to note is that TH can have a hard or a soft or voiced or unvoiced sound. So the is hard or voiced. You hum the, and then with like think, it's soft or unvoiced. You don't hum, you don't vibrate, you just say think. But it's still the tongue goes, touches your teeth. Think. That.
This is another grammar point that I get questions about from time to time. It is the present perfect tense versus the simple past tense. The question is, when do I use them? So present perfect tense, let's see, an example of present perfect tense would be, I have been to Paris. Simple past tense would be, I went to Paris. What is the difference? We use the present perfect tense to talk about a life experience or something which occurred in the past, but which still affects the present. So in this case, in my Paris example sentence, it's something that happened in the past, but when, exactly when, is not important. We just want to say, I have had the life experience of going to Paris. Simple past, however, is used to refer to a specific point in time in the past. So, for example, I went to Paris last summer. It's important that you know I went last summer. If the time point when you went to Paris is not important, use the present perfect. So this is really useful for talking about your travel experiences, for talking about your study experiences, foods you have and have not eaten. So just try to keep in mind when you should use these two. They're very commonly used together. Like, for example, you might use the present perfect tense to introduce a question. Have you ever been to Paris? And the follow-up answer, oh yes, I have been to Paris, using the present perfect tense again. But then a common pattern is to follow that answer up with a simple past question. When did you go? So you can see it changes from perfect tense to simple past tense. So a larger life experience to a more simple life experience. So they're used together, but just be careful. Try to be aware of, am I talking about an overall life experience or a very specific life experience? This is one that many of us do.
This is more cultural. Why do Americans wear shoes inside the house, on the bed, etc.? I feel like this depends, and this is starting to change. I take my shoes off in most houses, but I guess it's more so for comfort, whereas I feel like on the east side of the world, it's more of like a cleanliness kind of a thing, and if you do still wear your shoes, it's pretty taboo. Whereas in the States, I feel like most people, from my experience, anecdotal evidence, just personal experience, most places you take off your shoes, but if they have a party, they let people wear shoes inside the house. They don't care. And a lot of my friends will see American movies and they see somebody, a main character, wearing their shoes on the bed, on the couch, something like that. Again, from my experience, it's not that big of a deal, but typically you wouldn't do that. For me, the rule of thumb, like the unsaid rule, is that you can put your shoes up, but you don't let your shoes touch the couch. you hang off, right? So you can, if you want to lay on the couch without taking your shoes off, you let your feet hang off. So yeah, of course they're gonna get dirty, but yeah, it's just not as emphasized as much in our culture. I don't know.
The last question I have is, can I ask a question? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. In probably 95% of cases, the answer to the question, can I ask a question, is yes. Okay. Why did I choose this question? My students sometimes will put their hands up in my lesson and say, can I ask a question? One, this is your English class. Yes, please ask questions. But two, also, this is a discussion I've been having with a few people recently just about the mindset that I think is really important when speaking English. We have experience teaching in Asia, where maybe there's a different approach to conversations. I don't know if this is the same cultural approach to conversations that people from other countries have, but don't wait for permission to speak. Don't wait to jump into a conversation. Just go for it. Don't wait for someone to say, oh, would you like to speak now? Because that's never going to happen.
So don't be shy, get your tongue out, say things, and don't worry if it sounds rude or too polite or whatever. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Just it's a shift in mindset. If you when you start speaking that second language, like you said, if you just change your mind just a little bit, make a small shift in your mindset, maybe you'll see. Just a little bit. Great. So those are some questions that we have been asked about teaching, about English, about culture. If you have any other questions, by the way, please make sure to leave them in a comment for us. Or if there's something that you've always wondered about, or if there's something that you've encountered recently that you whatever, leave it in a comment for us. Thanks very much for watching this episode of English Topics. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we will see you again next time. Bye! Hi everybody, my name is Alicia, and today I am joining in live.
Michael, hello.
And today, in a special Halloween episode of English Topics, we're going to be talking about English scary stories. So let's begin. Each of us have prepared a few things, particularly things that scared us when we were kids. But maybe there's some things that still scare us today. I don't know. Before we start, how are you for scary stories? Do they bother you? Do they get you as an adult now?
Not really, but it's not trying to be macho, like, oh, I'm not scared. Like, when I watch scary movies, I get really scared and get really into it. Not with gore as much. Like, gore I don't care about. Gore, violent video games, that kind of stuff. That doesn't phase me. Internet, you know, you see all sorts of crazy stuff. But, like, when it's psychological and I get into it and it stays with me, then I get scared. But stories, you know, it's tough to be scared by story. I think I'm spoiled now. So, like, a story, I don't know. I mean, when's the last time someone, like, told you a story and you got, like, really into it?
Just hearing the story?
Just imagining, just like...
It'd probably get a little bit dark, but like when someone tells me about something like really shocking that happened to them, not so much a ghost story, but like it's something scary that happened in real life, then I feel dark. But like when you're watching a scary movie, like what you, like, I'm really, really bad with scary movies. I hide, I like turn off the sound, I like turn all the lights in my house, I cry sometimes. I can't handle scary at all. Scary movies, they're fun to a point, but then I can't watch them. Okay, well, with that in mind, maybe.
Anyways,
yeah. All right, I'll start off. I went very generic with mine. The first one, again, this is something from childhood to me. The boogeyman. The boogeyman is sort of a generic, it's a word that parents would use with kids, I think, just for the bad guy. So boogeyman just is, if the child is misbehaving, or maybe they're supposed to go to bed, or they're off being mischievous or whatever, maybe mom or dad would say the boogeyman will get you, or watch out for the boogeyman. Or the boogeyman is just a catch-all term for a bad guy, somebody bad, some bad monster creature. So if there wasn't a specific name for the monster, a specific name for the bad guy, the bad person, you could just call it the boogeyman. And it was adequately scary.
yeah, everybody knows the boogeyman. Everybody knows the boogeyman. And I think that's true. It's just kind of like a catch-all, like the archetype, like, monster.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for most families, I don't, or at least I never knew anybody who said the boogeyman, blah, 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 blah. Like you see it in movies when people talk about monsters, they say the boogeyman. I think it's kind of like when you're just trying to think of a name for a person and you're like Joe or John. It's just kind of like a name. But for me as a kid, or if there's monsters, it was like the blah, blah, blah monster under your bed. Like it would have like a specific, you know, like that forest or like the closet ghost or whatever, something like that. It ain't just for an example, it would be like a specific monster. Like this, I think, I never had anybody actually tell me the boogeyman was gonna get me. I would just see it in movies and you just like see it when you're talking
maybe
about
that's true. I don't know. I feel maybe that's true. Like maybe it's more in movies than it is like actual parental child conversation. But
at least nowadays. I mean, maybe back in the day. This one was an urban myth that was like one of the only ones that I was told, and it scared me so bad. Is Bloody Mary. So not the drink, but Bloody Mary. I wasn't sure if it should be I don't know if it's like blood. Oh, babies. What? Yeah, man. Did you do it? So.
no, I was too scared. Okay, please explain. Please explain. What is Bloody Mary?
So Bloody Mary. And I remember this in elementary. There's a vivid memory. There's no screen back in elementary. But they say, you know, things sitting in the hallway and you see the classroom. All the lights. Look in the mirror. Bloody Mary 3 times. And she'll appear to get you. And I don't remember the backstory. It's just like some dead woman. It's comes like on the wall, like doing that. But at the time as a kid, it was a really scary old lady or something. And I saw her, and of course it was my own reflection. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. But I ran to the bathroom. I was so scared. Heart bumping out of my chest.
Yep, absolutely. Like that was terrifying for me too. I never had the guts to do it. You actually did it?
Yeah.
I did it.
It was stupid for me to do it. I was so scared.
You were
I
so
ran
scared?
into the class.
Yeah, I never had the guts to. Like I there were a couple times when I thought I would try, or I thought I had the guts to do it, like at a slumber party with my friends. But I'd get to the bathroom and like all the lights would be off, and I was like, nope, this is not happening, and then I'd just leave. I can't handle this stuff. The other one that I thought of that was similar to this, and I think there's a movie made out of it. I don't know if that's it's an urban legend, but it was called Candyman. It was a similar thing, like you said, Candyman in the mirror. But in this case, it was a man with a mirror behind him. I picked a really generic one. Still sort of scary. I just found haunted houses. And what I mean by haunted houses is in your childhood, there'll often be around Halloween at a school or a neighborhood house, someone's house or someone's whole school will be transformed into this scary, scary place. So they'll hang up decorations, they'll have all the lights, there'll be all these sort of scary things to do. Like the one that always really scared me was it was just a bowl of grapes essentially, but they'd peel them and put them in a dark place so you couldn't see anything. But they'd say, put your hand inside, and then maybe the next one would be like cold spaghetti, and they'd say, this is someone's eyeballs, this is someone's brains, and you'd go, ah! I could never handle that kind of thing. Or like behind curtains, people would jump out.
지영홍님
Nope.
So
I still can't
그걸
do that
어떻게
kind of
줍니까?
thing. It's
얼마짜리인데?
still terrifying to me. I won't do it.
really well.
Yeah, I'm really not good at scary at all.
I like haunted houses. I mean, there was a couple we go to. There was one of those in my neighborhood, and I think it was abandoned. I don't think anyone lived there. We called it the goat house because every once in a while we'd see a goat on the area. I didn't live in like a farm area. It was like a suburb, so it was really weird. And it was just once in a blue moon there would just be like a random goat in this plot of land.
Okay, please tell me how you made a goat house scary. Like, how is that
Well,
scary?
Yeah, it sounds stupid when I tell you guys, but it was so creepy, man. Well, I'm gonna kind of cheat and use this one. This one scared me so much as a kid, and I don't know if this is universal or Western thing, like in English movies. Is the mannequin or the doll that's alive, right? That scared me so much, and like I think once you see it and you think it, like even Toy Story, because of Toy Story, it's like a happy movie, but even that, it's in my imagination. As a kid, I would like just like stare at my dolls and everything. And just kind of give them the skeptical eye, like, are you alive? And I'd close my eyes and I'd do that and like try to catch them, you know.
Oh.
Chucky. And
Yeah, there were a few movies I think that were made at that time with like a killer doll or
Right.
some inanimate object that would come to life and get you. Yeah. That never got to me. What did get to me though was I think I saw
that Jim Carrey movie, The Truman Show. There was that movie where it's like the whole, it wasn't even meant to necessarily be a scary movie, but just the whole life that's not real, and there were people watching around everything that you did. That made me paranoid for like a good, I don't know, 20 years.
Dude, I don't know if we talked about this before, but that was the same thing that I would look. I'd be like going to the bathroom and I'd be like, you know, there's a camera somewhere. Like this is that movie was like a, you know, kids' imaginations are too big, man. I think you see a movie and you're like, reality. You know, you hear a story and you're like, reality. You know?
That one stuck with me for a really long time. I had like a word with the people who made that movie. I was like, anyway, you have one more, I think.
I do.
I can see it.
Well, but La Chupacabra. So it's not really English, but because at least in America, we're very close to Mexico, we have a lot of Spanish influence. So that's basically our story as well. So I grew up hearing stories about this. It was just like a demon monster or something. A demon monster that would like eat goats. Oh man, full circle. There we go.
Full circle.
So, yeah, I don't know. This wasn't something that really scared me, but this is one of the few urban legends that I still heard and people still believe, like Bigfoot or something like that.
It's just a monster. It's a monster story, right?
Right.
Like you could eat small animals, you could like eat kids or people.
But they said, like, but they believed it, right? There's like, you know, there's a lot of monsters that you're like, oh, that's just, that is just
But Chupacabra is one that's like, well,
Apparently, yeah.
there's some legitimate evidence that there is a Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Chupacabra. Okay. All right. That was actually a nice little, a varied group of things that are scary, especially for young American children. Maybe you have the guts you can try Bloody Mary. That's for you. We're not responsible for anything bad happening. All right. Yeah, great. So maybe around Halloween you can think of a few of these and maybe try them on your friends. See how they react. That could be kind of fun.